Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If sign-in system in high school DxD. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name in the description below. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update, What If Luffy Became a Marine will also be going on hold soon, as we're nearly caught up there too. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if Ichigo awoke his true powers? What if becoming a mangaka in the One Piece world? What if reborn as Gohan in the future timeline? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the second pick and start working on that as its replacement series. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 41, A New Red Reward. Transcendent? Everyone's shock. The next day, I brought Rias and the others to an isolated training ground. To ensure uninterrupted training, they had all taken a leave of absence from school. Since Rias was the territorial devil of Koa Town, such arrangements were easily made. Kyoya, how are we going to train? Do you have a plan? Rias asked curiously. As soon as Rias asked the question, everyone looked at me with anticipation. After all, I had promised to significantly increase their power within a week. Devils had long lifespans, so their power grew incredibly slowly. Issei Hayadu, the protagonist of the original story, had to sacrifice his own lifespan to drastically increase his power in a relatively short amount of time. This showed just how difficult it was for devils to increase their power. If anyone else had made such a claim, they would have dismissed it as impossible. But knowing my personality and past accomplishments, they unconditionally trusted me. Otherwise, they would have been far more skeptical. Before we start training, I'd like to have a little spar with Rias, I announced. What? With me? Why? Rias asked, confused. The others were also puzzled, not understanding my intentions. Don't worry about it, Rias. Think of it as me getting a feel for your current strength. Hit me with your strongest attack. Don't worry about hurting me. I requested. Alright, if that's what you want, Kyoya. Here I come. Rias warned. Rias activated her power of destruction, a crimson aura emanating from her. She spread her devil wings and unleashed a powerful blast of destructive energy towards me. Boom! A loud explosion echoed, and a cloud of dust and debris filled the air. When it cleared, a giant skeletal figure was revealed, Susanoo. Rias's destructive blast hadn't even scratched it. Everyone was stunned to see that I was completely unharmed, not even a hair out of place. After all, this was the Gremory family's signature, power of destruction, yet it hadn't even made a dent. It was hard to fathom just how strong I really was. I concede defeat, Kyoya. You're way too strong. It's insane. Rias said, feeling a little dejected. Ding. Task completed. Host received a red grade gift bag. Opening the gift bag. Congratulations, host, for obtaining the magic power and physique enhancement card. Just as Rias admitted defeat, the system notification for task completion rang in my mind. That's right, I had used this mock battle to complete the red grade task that I had gotten from Rias long ago. Kyoya, you're such a bully. You were this strong, but you still made Tomo-san and Kiba fight you. Akino pouted playfully. Kiba just smiled wryly and didn't say anything, though he did look at me with a hint of exasperation. Hey, don't misunderstand. I wasn't this strong back then. Don't get the wrong idea. I said, feeling a shiver run down my spine at Kiba's gaze. Exclamation point. Kyoya, are you saying you reached this level of power in such a short amount of time? Everyone was shocked. Of course. Otherwise, how could I promise to increase your powers? Now do you believe me? I said, a confident smirk on my face. If that's the case, then I'm even more excited about the training. Akino's smile grew wider. Agreed. Please train us rigorously, Kyoya-senpai. Kaniko's eyes sparkled with excitement. No problem. Let's start by addressing Rias's bottleneck. I looked at Rias. Rias, your biggest problem is your lack of magic power. You can't sustain high-intensity battles for long. Your power of destruction, in terms of pure destructive force, is nearly unmatched among devil clans in the underworld. But your mastery of it is still insufficient. That's something you need to work on yourself, and I can't help you there. But I can help you with your magic power problem. Mastering the power of destruction isn't easy. Even Oni-sama struggled with it. It's impossible for me to make significant progress in just 1 week. Rias sighed, a little discouraged. You're wrong about that, Rias. Your brother is hiding his true strength. He may be a Mao, but his power has reached the level of a transcendent/super devil. His mastery of the power of destruction far surpasses that of the previous 4 great Satans. I said with a grin. Surzex inherited the power of destruction from his mother's side, the House of Baal. He could compress his power of destruction into incredibly powerful spheres and control them freely. Currently, he holds the title of Lucifer, one of the 4 great Satans. He was one of only 3 devils who had transcended beyond the level of a Mao, the other 2 being Ajuka Beelzebub and the leader of the Chaos Brigade, Rizavim Levan Lucifer. In fact, Surzex had even unleashed his true form, which terrorized even the god of the underworld, Hades. But Rias, at her current level, had almost no chance of reaching that level. But with me around, reaching that level would be smooth. Transcendent? Kyoya, what's a transcendent? Everyone was confused by the term. They had never heard of it before. Well, it's not surprising that you don't know. I'll explain. A transcendent is someone whose power surpasses the Mao class level. There are currently only 3 such devils. Other examples include the thunder god Thor, Shiva, and Zeus. They're all transcendents. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't realized that there was a power level above Mao class. And they were even more shocked to learn that Surzex was hiding such power. Even Rias was stunned to learn of her brother's true strength. After all, the beings mentioned were all renowned gods from various mythologies. God of destruction Shiva, the thunder god of Norse mythology, and so on. It was no wonder they were shocked. Chapter 42, Kyoya's Training Methods. Alright, there's no need to be so surprised. You might all reach that level someday. For now, Rias, you should start thinking about how to master your power of destruction. I'll start by enhancing your magic power. I said casually. But, try not to be too surprised. I added with a mischievous grin. System, use the Magic Power and Physique Enhancement card on Rias. I mentally instructed. Ding. Use successful. The instant the system confirmed the use of the card, a terrifying surge of crimson magic power erupted from Rias's body. She was bathed in a powerful aura of life force, constantly strengthening and improving her. Her already formidable power of destruction was rapidly growing, causing everyone except me to stare in disbelief. After an indeterminate amount of time, Rias opened her eyes, dazed, as she realized that she had almost reached the level of an ultimate class. Kyoya, what did you do to me? My magic power has almost reached the level of an ultimate class. Am I dreaming? After feeling the immense power and physical strength coursing through her, Rias finally accepted the truth. Didn't I tell you not to be too surprised? I said, feigning seriousness. How can I be calm in a situation like this? This is a whole level's worth of power. Kyoya, how did you do that? Hearing my words, Rias rolled her eyes. Think of it as me giving you a little power-up. Now do you believe that I can train you to defeat that turkey? I asked, a smug grin on my face. Of course. I've always believed that Kyoya could save me. Rias said, her face flushed and her gaze full of affection. After a moment, Rias regained her composure and asked, so, Kyoya, are you planning to train us by forcefully increasing our magic power and physical strength like this? You're a special case, Rias. I can't use that ability infinitely. So, I'll be using different methods to train Akino and the others, methods that are more suited to their individual strengths. I explained, then continued, Rias, you should go practice your power of destruction on your own for a while. After all, you've suddenly gained so much power that you'll need some time to adjust. Okay, Kyoya. Then I'll leave Akino and the others to you. With that, Rias went off to a corner to practice on her own. Then, I gathered Akino, Kaneko, Kiba, and Kyom to begin their training. First, let's talk about your training, Kiba. I looked at Kiba and said. No problem, Kyoya. I'm ready for anything. Kiba replied, eager to begin. Since Kiba has the sacred gear, Sword Birth, your training will focus on speed. I reminded him. Speed? Kiba tilted his head, deep in thought. That's right. Your training will be simple. You'll practice basic swordsmanship and movement techniques while carrying heavy weights. This way, during battle, your strikes will carry maximum force, concentrated on your enemy, while they won't be able to target you. I further instructed him. I see, I understand. Hearing my words, Kiba had a flash of insight. He understood my intentions and was about to start training with weights. Seeing Kiba about to rush off, I quickly stopped him. Hold on, Kiba. Don't start yet. Let me explain everyone's training regimen first, then you can all train together. I'll give you all a buff that will make your powers skyrocket within a week. Understood. Kiba nodded and stepped back. Kyoya-senpai, does that mean I should train the same way as Kiba? Kaneko asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Well, Kaneko, your piece is Rook, which specializes in close-quarters combat, so it's similar to Kiba. But I'll also teach you a set of martial arts later. I said. Kaneko nodded in understanding. I turned to Akino. As for you, Akino, since you're known as the Priestess of Thunder, that means you specialize in lightning, right? That's right. I'm very strong, you know. Akino nodded, listening intently. I'm also quite proficient in lightning. So, Akino, demonstrate your fighting style and techniques for me. I'll see where you can improve. Seeing the lightning crackling around me, Akino was a little surprised. But to be safe, I reinforced the barrier that Rias had set up earlier with a stronger one. Alright, start now. Kyoya, watch closely. This is my specialty, lightning strikes. It can also use magic to create natural phenomena like ice and fire, but my forte is summoning lightning from the sky. Akino smiled and flew into the air. As her magic power surged, bolts of lightning lashed out, ravaging the surrounding forest. The powerful strikes slammed against the barrier, causing it to ripple. I understand your issues now, Akino. You can come down. I quickly told Akino to stop. Kyoya, how do you find my abilities? Akino asked, looking as if she expected praise. After all, she was quite confident in her power. Your power is impressive, Akino. You've already reached the level of a high class. But, I said, then paused, shaking my head, you're wasting your magic power. You cast your lightning in a wide area attack, and your techniques are crude and simplistic. How much magic power do you think you have to waste like that? Akino, who had been feeling quite pleased with herself, was suddenly speechless. Her mouth twitched. She had to admit that she didn't have a lot of magic power. It seemed she really couldn't unleash that many lightning attacks. So, Akino, you need to work on your control over lightning, to the point where you can freely manipulate its trajectory. Secondly, you should develop some other techniques. Your attacks are too predictable. I said, looking at Akino. Akino, watch carefully. This is how you use lightning. I appeared in the air in a flash and demonstrated the abilities of the Rumble Fruit, L4, Carry, 30 million volt Hino, and even the close combat, Raiton, Chidori, from Naruto. Hundreds of lightning bolts instantly erupted in the sky, blanketing the entire area above the barrier. They crackled and roared in the air like countless dragons, twisting and turning, wreaking havoc. Most of these were techniques developed by that big-eared Enel from the One Piece world. But in terms of both power and technique, they were far superior to what Akino had demonstrated. Chapter 43, Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Seeing the dazzling display of lightning techniques in the sky, the scene was utterly breathtaking and awe-inspiring. Everyone was stunned into silence. "Kyoya, you're really making me feel inadequate," Akino said, a hint of self-deprecation in her voice as she returned to my side. Now, Akino, don't compare yourself to me. You'll only end up feeling worse." I chuckled, then added, "When you train later, you can try to emulate the techniques I demonstrated, or you can develop your own. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. As for Kyome, I'll explain your training regimen later. For now, could you bring Rias back? It's time to activate cheat mode. I said, gesturing for Akino to fetch Rias. When Rias and Akino returned, everyone looked at me with a mixture of confusion and anticipation, wondering what this cheat was all about. I smiled mysteriously, then took out a miniature model of a house. Everyone stared at the tiny house in my hand, completely bewildered. Akino was the first to speak, her expression slightly strained. "Kyoya, is this the cheat you were talking about? Since when did you start liking such childish things?" Seeing their confused expressions, I grinned and said, "Hee, don't underestimate this. This little thing is extraordinary. You'll be amazed when you hear what it does." "Alright, Kyoya, stop keeping us in suspense. Explain it already," Rias said, rolling her eyes at my antics. Okay, I'll explain," I said, dropping the act. "This is called the hyperbolic time chamber. It has everything you need inside: food, water, and rooms. The air is thin, the temperature fluctuates between 122 degrees Fahrenheit and -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and the gravity is 10 times that of Earth. It also has a vast, seemingly endless expanse, like outer space. Those with weak wills or who lack focus are prone to hallucinations. And the most peculiar thing is, 1 year inside is equivalent to only 1 day outside. Hence, it's the ultimate training location. However, a person can only enter for the equivalent of 2 days in their entire lifetime. If you exceed that limit, the exit disappears, and you're trapped forever. Boom! Hearing my explanation, everyone was stunned. Training inside for 1 day was equivalent to training for an entire year outside. My words were like a bolt from the blue, leaving Rias and the others frozen in place. Training for a year in just 1 day was something they had never even dared to imagine. Changing the flow of time, this. Kyoya-senpai, are you joking? It's unbelievable. Kyoya, are you sure you're not just teasing us? Rias asked, her mind reeling. Seeing their reactions, I couldn't help but chuckle. Did you hear me wrong? Not only can this hyperbolic time chamber simulate any training environment you desire, but it also alters the flow of time. In short, you don't just have 7 days to train before the raiding game. You actually have 2 years and 5 days. How about it? With my cheat, are you confident you can beat that turkey now? Everyone's eyes lit up, and they all showed expressions of excitement and eagerness. Kyoya, let us try it out, Rias urged, unable to contain her excitement. I didn't drag it out any longer. I tossed the hyperbolic time chamber into the air. The miniature house rapidly expanded, growing from the size of my palm to the size of a normal house, before finally stopping. Everyone watched this transformation in awe, marveling at the sight. Then, we all gathered at the entrance of the hyperbolic time chamber. I took out my phone and set a timer. Rias and the others had just heard my brief description of the hyperbolic time chambers, wonders, but had yet to experience it for themselves. So, they decided to send someone in to test it out. I'll go in and take a look, Akino volunteered, stepping forward. Everyone else waited outside. Once you're inside, don't wander too far, or you might get lost, I reminded Akino before she entered. Akino nodded, opened the door, and stepped inside. She felt as though she had entered another world. The gravity was noticeably heavier, making her feel a little uncomfortable. The space inside seemed to stretch on forever, a vast, white emptiness with no end in sight. It made Akino feel incredibly small. Remembering that I had called this a training artifact, she decided to test it out. She raised her hand and aimed at a spot on the ground nearby, unleashing her strongest attack. But the normally destructive lightning blast, when it struck the ground, caused no damage. The ground was completely unharmed. Akino was shocked. Her strongest attack hadn't even left a scratch. But this also meant they could train without worrying about damaging the place. Finally, after exploring the space for about an hour, Akino decided to leave. Outside, Rias and the others were startled to see Akino emerge so quickly. "Akino, why did you come out so soon? It hasn't even been a second." Akino explained that she had been inside for about an hour. Everyone was amazed by the hyperbolic time chamber. "It's a miracle training artifact," Rias exclaimed. "Not only that, but the gravity inside is almost 10 times that of the outside world. And the space inside is practically limitless. Even my strongest attack didn't leave a mark on the ground. It's a natural training ground," Akino added. Chapter 44, Enhancing the Magical Beasts. The wolf cub mutates into a three-eyed golden wolf. "If that's the case, let's hurry up and go inside," Rias and the others said eagerly. When they reopened the door and entered the hyperbolic time chamber, the group felt as if they were in a dream. The vast, white expanse of nothingness had an intense psychological impact on them. This was normal. Even the strongest individuals could be driven to madness if they stayed here for too long. The environment was oppressive and monotonous. Just then, I addressed the group. "The gravity here is 10 times that of the outside world. It's the perfect place for Kiba and Kaneko to train. And, Kiba, it's best if you practice your swordsmanship with weights on. That will produce the best results. Kyome, summon your magical beasts. I'll awaken their bloodlines a bit and see how much they can evolve," I said, turning to Kyome. Kyome was overjoyed to hear that I was going to enhance her magical beasts' bloodlines again. She immediately summoned her 3 companions, the previously enhanced magic wolf, a green magic serpent, and a white magic cat. The magic wolf now radiated an aura comparable to a mid-class, thanks to my previous enhancement. But the other 2 were clearly weaker in comparison. Seeing that I could enhance magical beasts' bloodlines, Rias and the others watched with interest, eager to witness the evolution process. Ignoring their gazes, I took out the 10 magical beast enhancement cards, and used one on each of the 3 beasts. The green magic serpent was instantly enveloped in a brilliant light. Its body grew larger, and 2 horns sprouted from its head, transforming it into a majestic, emerald leviathan. The white magic cat also underwent a transformation. Its limbs and claws grew thicker and sharper, and its teeth turned into fierce fangs. It had evolved into a silvery white, meter-tall magic tiger. Everyone was amazed by the changes in Kyome's magical beasts. But to my surprise, the crimson magic wolf showed no changes at all. Could it be that it's already so strong that this enhancement isn't enough? Thinking this, I decided to use all the remaining magical beast enhancement cards on the wolf. As the last card merged with the wolf, it finally began to evolve. Unexpectedly, the wolf suddenly let out a series of howls, and those standing nearby, like Kyome, were sent flying several meters by the sound waves. Exclamation point. Crap, this wolf cub mutated. It actually turned into a three-eyed golden wolf, and its power has reached the high-class level. I guess I overdid it, I thought, a little surprised. In just 1 minute, I had created 2 mid-class level magical beasts and 1 mutated high-class level three-eyed golden wolf. Rias and the others were utterly impressed by my methods. Alright, Kyome, have your magical beasts spar with each other to familiarize yourself with their new abilities. Got it? I continued, addressing everyone in the hyperbolic time chamber. We have plenty of time to train here. And because of the oppressive environment, it's an ideal place to train your minds and spirits, which will greatly benefit your magic power growth. But remember to balance work and rest. Otherwise, you could end up harming yourselves. Rias and the others nodded, and they began their respective training regimens. But I had other plans. Hee, Kaneko-chan, come here. Oni-san will give you some special, one-on-one training, I said with a mischievous grin, beckoning to the petite, white-haired girl. Seeing my suspicious smile, Kaneko shuddered, a dark line appearing on her forehead. She said, her voice trembling slightly, "Pervert Kyoya-senpai, if you try anything, the consequences." She trailed off, but she raised her small fist threateningly. Hey, Kaneko-chan, don't be like that. I'm going to train you personally, I said, glancing at the others who were already engrossed in their training. I then led Kaneko to a more separated area. Alright, Kaneko-chan, attack me with all your might. Let me see your strength and fighting skills, I instructed. Kaneko nodded and got into a fighting stance. Understood. Then, here I come, Kyoya-senpai. In a flash, Kaneko dashed towards me, a flurry of punches coming at me like a storm. The sharp cracks of her fists splitting the air were a testament to her power. Seeing Kaneko's attacks, I didn't dodge. Instead, I simply reached out and grabbed her fist with my right hand. Then, with a gentle pull, I brought Kaneko into my embrace. Stroking her back, I said, "Too slow. You're too easy to catch." Kaneko blushed at my intimate gesture and struggled to break free. Then, she took a step back, leaped several meters away, and unleashed a series of aerial kicks, each one carrying a powerful impact. Chapter 45, Training Kaneko, Kyoya's Scolding. Facing Kaneko's sidekick, I didn't block this time. Instead, I ducked, and while I was at it, I caught a glimpse of something that almost made my nose bleed. Then I used shave to get behind Kaneko, crouching down. I couldn't resist gently squeezing her smooth, delicate calf as I commented, "Kaneko, your martial arts techniques are too basic. It's easy for others to dodge your sidekick. Also, thanks for the treat just now, Kaneko-chan. But I didn't expect you to be so innocent. It matches your hair color," I added with a chuckle. At first, Kaneko didn't understand what I meant. But then, recalling the angle of my gaze when I ducked, she instantly figured it out. In a flash, Kaneko's face turned bright red. She quickly covered herself with her hands, then forcefully pulled her leg from my grasp, creating some distance between us. "Pervert Kyoya-senpai. Are you trying to take advantage of your junior under the guise of training?" Kaneko, now completely flustered, was like an angry kitten with its fur standing on end, both her hands firmly guarding her front. Even if you say that, it wasn't entirely intentional. But since I've already seen everything, and touched almost everywhere, you're basically unmarriageable now, I said, feigning seriousness as I rubbed my head. "So, how about marrying me then, Kaneko-chan?" Hearing my increasingly outrageous remarks, Kaneko's face grew even redder. Alright, I'm just kidding, I was just trying to lighten the mood, I said, quickly changing the subject. Actually, from your attacks earlier, I can see that your physical strength is quite good. But in other areas, you still have some shortcomings. So, I'm going to teach you the 6 powers. Watch carefully. 6 powers? Hearing that I was going to teach her some martial arts techniques, Kaneko's interest was piqued. Watch closely. I'll demonstrate them for you, I said. Iron Body. This is a technique where you tense all the muscles in your body and control your blood flow to make your body as hard as iron. It's generally used for defense. Shave, by kicking the ground rapidly, 10 times or more, you generate a powerful burst of force that allows for high-speed movement. Paper drawing, relax your muscles and sense the changes in the air around you. Move like a piece of paper, flowing with your opponent's attacks to dodge them. Moonwalk, with explosive leg power that makes it seem like you've disappeared, you can kick the air to move through the sky. Tempest Kick, a high-speed, powerful kick that creates a vacuum blade for attacking. Finger Pistol, tense the muscles in your fingers, or use armament hockey, to make your fingers as powerful as bullets, capable of piercing the human body. I then demonstrated each of the 6 powers for Kaneko. Try attacking me with all your might, I said, patting my chest. Okay. Hearing this, Kaneko gathered all her strength and unleashed her full power, punching me in the chest. Thud. Oof. That's pretty solid. Kaneko felt a slight pain in her hand, as if she had punched a steel plate. Kaneko, these 6 powers are considered basic techniques, but they're perfect for you right now. They'll greatly enhance your close combat abilities and reduce your chances of getting injured. I explained seriously. Yes, thank you for your guidance, Kyoya-senpai. Kaneko murmured. Although Kyoya-senpai was a bit perverted, she had to admit that having him around was reassuring and reliable. But, Kaneko-chan, I can sense a much stronger power within you, but you're suppressing it. Can you tell me why? I asked suddenly. The power within me? Hearing my question, Kaneko froze. Then, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and complexity, and her body started to tremble slightly. Well, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But Kaneko-chan, I'll always be here for you. As long as I'm around, I won't let anyone hurt you. Seeing her reaction, I quickly walked over and embraced her, comforting her. I had originally planned to use this opportunity to help Kaneko master her Nekashu powers, specifically, Senjutsu. But it seemed that the past incident still cast a large shadow on her. Alright, that's enough for now. Let's continue training, I said, gently patting Kaneko's head. Okay. Hearing my words, Kaneko returned to her usual self and nodded. But to Kaneko's embarrassment, during the following training, although I was indeed teaching her properly, I still took the opportunity to touch her legs and waist, and even brazenly groped her chest. Kaneko had initially thought that I had turned over a new leaf, but it turned out I had become even more shameless, completely shattering her perception of my perversion. Kaneko couldn't help but exclaim in exasperation, "Pervert Kyoya-senpai, are you at it again?" I not only didn't deny it but replied seriously, "I just enjoy teasing you, Kaneko-chan. After all, you're so cute, I can't help myself." Kaneko. Kyoya, you're a bad boy, flirting with Kaneko-chan behind our backs. Akino suddenly interjected. Seeing Akino interrupt my training with Kaneko, I frowned, then pretended to be serious. Akino, what are you doing? Don't you know the rating game is coming up soon? And you're slacking off in such a critical moment? It seems I need to punish you severely. Suddenly, I appeared behind Akino, and a little bolt of lightning shot from my fingertip, making her shudder. Seeing Akino's flustered and slightly resentful expression, I ignored her and turned my attention to the others, starting to scold them. Rias, I told you to practice your control, not stand there like a statue. Are you a scarecrow? And you overgrown mutt, the wolf. I know you've gotten bigger and stronger, but that doesn't mean you can be lazy. Get back to training. Or I'll roast you for dinner. Kiba, are you a snail? Your movement speed is like a tortoise. At this rate, an 80-year-old grandma could dodge your attacks. I scolded them with increasing intensity, eventually flying into the air and conjuring numerous lightning spears to motivate them. But my true intention was to continue teasing Kaneko. After all, a properly trained Kaneko was very clingy. Rias. Kiba. Kyome and her magical beasts. Seeing my enthusiastic scolding, everyone was speechless, their mouths twitching. Great, so you're not here to train, you're here to yell at us. Chapter 46, Instant Dungeon Party? Yamata no Orochi appears. A day passed in the blink of an eye, which meant a year had passed for everyone inside the hyperbolic time chamber. They had all gotten used to the environment by now, making their training even more efficient and their progress even more remarkable. Seeing their improvement, I decided it was time to move on to the next phase of my plan. Alright, everyone, stop training for a moment. I have something to discuss, I announced. I have an invitation to a demon party. It will take us to a separate dimension where we'll encounter demons and other creatures. If we succeed in defeating them, we might get some kind of reward. And even if we fail, there are no penalties. Do you want to participate? Hearing my words and seeing the Abyss Demon Party invitation in my hand, everyone was intrigued. There's actually something like this? Since there's no real danger, then let's do it. Akino said readily. The others were also excited about the prospect of a risk-free challenge. All right. Including me, we can have a maximum of 5 participants since Kyome is primarily a beast tamer and this challenge involves direct combat. It's not suitable for her. So it will be just the 5 of us. Okay. Kyome was a little disappointed, but she accepted my reasoning and continued training in the hyperbolic time chamber. With that, I activated the Abyss Demon Party invitation, and a dark red, circular portal appeared before us. Without hesitation, the 5 of us stepped through. Passing through the portal, our surroundings changed drastically. We found ourselves in a dense forest, with towering trees 4 or 5 meters in diameter, their branches intertwined, blocking out most of the sunlight. Is this where we'll be fighting? It kind of reminds me of the familiar forest in the underworld. Rias was the first to break the silence. It's too quiet here. I have a bad feeling about this. Kaneko said, her eyes scanning our surroundings warily. If even Kaneko-chan feels that way, then there's probably some real danger lurking nearby, Akino said, gently patting Kaneko's head. I said, there's no point in speculating. Let's explore this forest first. So, I led the girls deeper into the forest. But just as we reached the edge of the woods, we all felt a sudden sense of danger, as if a curtain had been lifted, revealing a horrifying monster that awaited us. Just then, a deafening roar echoed through the dimension, the shockwaves alone powerful enough to shatter the surrounding trees. We were all shaken by the immense pressure, and we were forced to retreat. Kaneko, being the weakest among us, even coughed up some blood. Before we could recover, several deep, guttural roars sounded in unison. The ground began to tremble, and then, several pairs of eerie, glowing green eyes appeared beneath the earth. Exclamation point. Something's coming out. Just as that thought crossed our minds, a gigantic, dark shape burst forth from the ground. It was a colossal dragon, its body stretching hundreds of meters, coiling and twisting, blotting out the sky. Even more grotesque was that it had 8 heads and 8 tails, its eyes glowing like blood-red lanterns. Its back was covered in moss and trees, while its belly was a mess of festering wounds. 8 ominous, swirling clouds hovered above its heads. King Ghidorah, from Godzilla, king of the monsters, but with 8 heads. It's Yamata no Orochi. Rias and the others exclaimed in horror. But I, in contrast, was not afraid. In fact, I was thrilled. If I could kill this Yamata no Orochi, I was sure to get a great reward. Just as I was fantasizing about the potential rewards, Yamata no Orochi let out another deafening roar. Suddenly, dozens of smaller, 3 to 4 meter tall demons and yokai appeared around us. Seeing this, I quickly instructed Rias, Akino, Kiba, and Kaneko, you 4 deal with those small fry. I'll handle Yamata no Orochi. Rias and the others knew they wouldn't be of any help against Orochi, so they followed my orders, focusing on eliminating the surrounding monsters to prevent them from interfering with my fight. Although they couldn't fight Yamata no Orochi, Rias and the others had no problem dealing with these low-level demons and yokai. Akino took the initiative. A bolt of purple lightning shot from her hand, striking the demons with deadly accuracy. Zap! Instantly, a large number of demons and yokai were charred to a crisp, emitting the smell of burnt meat. Power of destruction. A clear voice rang out. Rias, now with her devil wings unfurled, gathered her crimson magic power and unleashed her most powerful attack, the power of destruction. Kiba and Kaneko's attacks were much more straightforward. Thanks to nearly a year of weighted training and my swordsmanship guidance, Kiba's speed had reached new heights. Wielding his demonic sword, he moved like a phantom, slicing and dicing the enemies with ease. Severed limbs flew everywhere. Kaneko, on the other hand, was even more brutal, showcasing her raw, physical power. With just her fists, she pummeled the demons into a bloody pulp. Chapter 47, Facing Yamato no Orochi. Seeing the relaxed expressions on the girls' faces, I decided not to say anything more. I was now focused on the task at hand, readying myself for a fight. I wanted to test the power of this Yamata no Orochi. I summoned Zangetsu and adopted a simple, standard sword stance. Red magic power enveloped the blade, and my aura surged. In the next instant, boom! I propelled myself forward like a spring, the ground cracking beneath my feet. My body was shrouded in a mist of crimson magic power as I instantly appeared at the same height as one of Orochi's 8 heads. I swung my sword, aiming for a clean strike. In the blink of an eye, one of Orochi's massive heads was severed, and putrid green blood splattered everywhere as the head plummeted to the ground. Incredible! Kiba exclaimed in awe. That single strike revealed a lot. It was a level of power that he, Kiba, could not currently achieve. He doubted he could even pierce Yamata no Orochi's scales even with his full strength. Kyoya, your power is extraordinary. But the battle was far from over. Just as I was about to attack the remaining 7 heads, I sensed a horrifying power emanating from Yamata no Orochi's body. Everyone, get back! Retreat deeper into the forest. I quickly retreated, grabbing Kaneko and Kiba, who were the closest and also the weakest, and used Shave to escape. Rias and Akino, hearing my warning, also quickly retreated into the depths of the forest. Orochi was clearly preparing for an attack. Its 7 remaining eyes glowed with an eerie, soul-chilling light. It opened its 7 maws wide, and a torrent of foul-smelling air mixed with lightning, fire, and other attacks shot towards the forest where we had been standing. In an instant, the towering trees were completely obliterated. Trunks, leaves, flowers, and grass were all vaporized in the attack. The shockwave from the blast was devastating. The destruction continued for several minutes. A swath of forest, nearly 10,000 meters long, was completely leveled by Orochi's breath attack, leaving behind a barren wasteland. The sheer power of the attack was staggering, leaving Rias, Akino, Kiba, and Kaneko utterly awestruck. Just then, Yamata no Orochi began to thrash about wildly, and the severed head began to regenerate. Before their very eyes, whoosh! A brand new head emerged from the bloody stump. How can it regenerate so quickly? But my initial attack had successfully drawn Yamata no Orochi's aggro. After regenerating its head, Yamata no Orochi raised all 8 heads and roared at the sky. Then, it directed its 8 pairs of eyes, each glowing with a different element: fire, lightning, poison, and wind towards me. To prevent the others from being caught in the crossfire, I had to constantly dodge while simultaneously drawing Yamata no Orochi's attention. I also used the system to analyze the creature. Ding! Yamata no Orochi, a mythical beast with 8 heads and 8 tails. Each head controls a different element, such as fire, lightning, and poison. However, due to the host's interference, its original power has been greatly amplified. It has almost reached the peak of ultimate class and has the ability to regenerate severed heads. It can even control the weather to some extent. Great, just great. Not only does it have 8 heads with different powers, but it's also stronger than it should be, nearly at the peak of ultimate class, and it can regenerate. This is going to be a pain. Damn it, let's see if you can regenerate faster than I can cut. I growled, my expression dark. This was my first real life or death battle since reaching the Quasima level. I used Shave to quickly move around Yamata no Orochi, leaving several Flying Thunder God seals on its massive body. Then, I summoned the Chains of Heaven, binding Yamata no Orochi. Even though the chains weren't as effective against creatures without divinity, they could still momentarily restrict its movements. Next, I unleashed Zangetsu's ultimate technique, Getsuga Tenso, while dodging Yamata no Orochi's attacks with the Flying Thunder God technique, while simultaneously counterattacking. Slash! Another massive head was severed by the powerful slash. But I didn't dare to stop, fearing that Yamata no Orochi would regenerate again. I pressed my attack, severing another head, then another, and another. With each head that fell, Yamata no Orochi's roars grew weaker, and its massive body thrashed about even more violently, as if it were trying to regenerate. Seeing this, I roared, as if I'd let you. I swung Zangetsu, with all my might, aiming for the last head. With a final slash, the last head fell to the ground, and my figure finally came to a stop. We won! That thought flashed through Rias and the others' minds, and they were about to congratulate me when I shouted, "Don't come over here!" Because even though all of Yamada no Orochi's heads had been severed, the wounds were still wriggling, and its body continued to thrash about. What the hell? Why isn't it dead yet? I frowned. This was completely unexpected. I had no idea what to do. But then, before my very eyes, as well as the horrified gazes of the others, 8 new heads began to grow from the headless stumps, one after another, with a sickening, squelching sound. It was as if nothing had happened, as if it had been fully restored. The newly formed Yamada no Orochi turned its 8 pairs of eyes on me, its gaze cold and emotionless. It lunged at me, its 8 heads snapping, nearly swallowing me whole. Seeing its failed attack, Yamada no Orochi roared in frustration, then turned and charged at me again. Tengai Shinsei. As I dodged, I activated my Rinnegan, unleashing a powerful ultimate move. But Yamada no Orochi simply unleashed a barrage of attacks from its 8 heads, lightning, fire, and other elements, shattering the meteor I had summoned. I continued to observe the creature closely, trying to discern its weakness. Why isn't the head the weak point? Even after being completely severed, it didn't die. The system wouldn't make a mistake like this. There must be a way to kill it. I must be missing something. Legend says that Susanoo slew Yamada no Orochi by severing all its heads. Exclamation point. Crap, could it be that I need to use Susanoo to kill this thing? Chapter 48, The Complete Susanoo Annihilates Yamada no Orochi. Thinking about this, I became excited. I immediately activated my complete body Susanoo. A powerful aura erupted from my body. Under the astonished gazes of the onlookers, a giant, blue, skeletal frame slowly formed around me. As countless blue energy tendrils suddenly emerged, the skeletal frame gradually became more substantial and imposing. Then, a pair of blazing blue wings emerged from the skeletal figure's back, followed by the growth of 1, 2 until 4 arms, each wielding a massive longsword, had formed. In the blink of an eye, a towering, nearly 1,000-meter form, Susanoo, clad in a Tengu helmet, appeared before Yamada no Orochi. Faced with the sudden appearance of Susanoo, both Rias and her group, as well as Yamada no Orochi, were utterly stunned. What is that? Kyoto actually had such a trump card hidden up his sleeve. Just the aura alone is making it hard to breathe. Rias and the others stared at the colossal Susanoo, unable to believe the sheer power I possessed. As I felt the power of Susanoo, I was just as awestruck as they were. After all, this was my first time activating the complete body Susanoo. Finally experiencing its power firsthand, I understood why Madara Uchiha had been so invincible in his time. Sensing the godlike presence of Susanoo, even the ferocious Yamada no Orochi showed fear in its eyes. It looked as though it wanted to flee. After all, the size difference was just too great. The 1,000-meter form and the overwhelming aura made even Orochi feel a deadly threat. But before Orochi could even consider escaping, I made my move. This time, I didn't use Susanoo, blue greatswords. Instead, I used Susanoo fist to brutally punch one of Orochi's heads. Splat! One of Orochi's heads was instantly smashed like a watermelon, green blood splattering everywhere as the head was obliterated. Before Orochi could retaliate, I struck again, controlling Susanoo to stomp on Orochi's body and then grab another one of its heads, tearing it off with brute force. Completely defenseless and with 2 heads destroyed, Orochi was terrified, letting out pained screeches. Seeing Orochi's miserable state, I decided to put it out of its misery. In the next moment, I had Susanoo grip all 4 of its hands together and drew a 100-meter-long blue greatsword. I swung the blade at Orochi with overwhelming force. The extreme danger made Orochi want to dodge. But it was too close, and my slashes were too fast and powerful. Before Orochi could even react, 4 slashes ripped through its body, severing heads and limbs. Then, with a few more slashes, I severed all 8 of Orochi's heads, ending the brutal one-sided beatdown. The onlooking Rias and the others were stunned by the brutality of the scene, with severed limbs and heads scattered everywhere. It was understandable, considering my overwhelming power. Kiba, however, decided then and there that he would never spar with me again. He didn't want to risk me getting carried away and accidentally striking him with that 100-meter blade. The group quickly flew over to me, and Rias, seeing that I was unharmed, sighed in relief. I thought that by training hard and increasing my power, I could close the gap between us. But now... Hearing Rias' words, I turned and gently embraced her, inhaling her scent before comforting her. Why are you discouraged? Since I'm your boyfriend, I'll protect you in the future, that's my responsibility as a man. Seeing my intimate actions, Rias blushed, but she didn't object. Instead, she longed for this feeling to last forever. But Akino wouldn't let that happen. She interjected in a teasing tone, "Era, I can't just ignore this, you know. Rias, Kyoya is my man. How can you steal your own peerage member's boyfriend?" Then she added, "But, well, since I'm one of your peerage members, I guess I can be generous. If you agree to be the junior wife, and call me Wani-sama, it might be acceptable." Exclamation point. Hearing Akino's words, Rias was flustered and retorted, "What are you talking about? Kyoya is clearly mine. You're the junior one, Akino. Right, Kyoya?" Akino didn't argue further, instead turning to me and asking, "Kyoya, I'm the senior wife, right?" Then both of them stared at me, waiting for my answer. Seeing them bicker, I finally spoke up, "Well, in theory, you should both be junior wives. If we're going by the order, then Yura is the senior wife. And if we're going by relationship, then Kiryu is." Hearing my bombshell announcement, both of them were stunned. They hadn't expected to lose to two juniors, and both from the student council. Rias, realizing that she had lost to Sona again, looked utterly dejected. Akino, too, was bewildered, and asked, "Kyoya, when did you get more girlfriends? How many? How come I didn't know?" Let me think. Starting with Yura, there's also Tomo and Kiryu. It seems like, aside from Sona and Tsubaki, who haven't agreed to join my harem yet, all the other girls in the student council have. I said, counting on my fingers. Kyoya. Rias and Akino both looked at me with resentful expressions, as if I had abandoned them. Kaneko, on the other hand, just stared at me and muttered, "Pervert H-senpai." I ignored Kaneko's muttering. "Alright, Rias, Akino, don't worry. Even if I have more women, I'll treat you all equally. At the very least, I'll marry you all and have a wedding ceremony together." I reassured them. Hearing my words, Akino looked as if she had expected this outcome all along. Even so, what could she do? Leave him? That was impossible. She was already deeply attached to him. I looked at Akino and Rias' resigned expressions and felt a pang of guilt. So, I pulled them both into my embrace, one in each arm. "To me, you are all the most important people in my life," I said apologetically. Rias reached out and stroked my face, smiling gently. "It's okay. As long as you have me in your heart, that's enough." Hearing Rias's words, I felt a surge of emotion. Chapter 49, 8 Gates and Demon God Manifestation, Demon's Extract. After seeing Rias's reaction, Akino couldn't help but think that her friend's strategy of feigning retreat to gain an advantage was effective, and difficult to counter. Kaneko, on the other hand, looked at Kyoya with a complex mix of emotions, feeling a little down. Seeing this, I released Rias and Akino, then walked over to Kaneko and gently patted her head. Don't worry, Kaneko-chan. I won't forget about you. Don't say such strange things, pervert Kyoya-senpai." Kaneko's face flushed an even deeper shade of red, but I could see the flicker of happiness in her eyes. "Looks like I'll be able to tame this little kitten soon." Just then, Kiba, who had been silent until now, interrupted us. Are we forgetting something?" What is it?" I asked, turning to look at Kiba along with everyone else. Kiba, seeing our confused expressions, couldn't help but twitch his eyes in exasperation. He sighed and said, "Didn't we agree that there would be rewards after we finished the challenge? We haven't collected them yet." Hearing this, we all suddenly remembered our original purpose. We quickly started searching the area for the rewards. I found one. Kiba called out to us. "Era, I found something too!" Akino exclaimed excitedly. In the end, we found only 3 rewards. The first was a technique from the Naruto world, the 8 Gates modified version. I explained to the others, this is a technique that allows you to temporarily gain immense power. When activated, the user's power increases exponentially. The power increase will vary from person to person. However, this technique is best suited for taijutsu users. So, Kaneko, it's yours. But Kiba, since you use a sword and also rely on physical strength, you can learn it too. Understood. Kaneko and Kiba nodded. As for this second one, it's called Demon God Manifestation, Demon's Extract. That's its name. I looked at the small vial in Akino's hand and announced its name, then explained further. This is the blood of a living being. Whoever drinks it will gain the power of ice. The power of ice? Who wants it? I asked the 4. They all fell silent, thinking it over. Finally, Ria spoke up, I have the power of destruction, and I still haven't fully mastered it, so I'll pass. Kaneko also declined. I specialize in close-quarters combat. This doesn't suit me. Same here. As a swordsman, I still have a long way to go. I won't choose this right now, either. Kiba said. Then, everyone turned their attention to Akino. I took the initiative and tried to persuade her. Akino, you should take this reward, you already have lightning magic, and now with ice powers, your strength will definitely increase. Besides, ice can conduct electricity. The 2 powers combined would be a perfect match. It seems like I have no reason to refuse. In that case, I'll accept it. Akino said, smiling at the others. Then, with everyone's encouragement, Akino downed the contents of the vial in one gulp. Suddenly, Akino's long, black ponytail turned a striking shade of ice blue. A chilling aura emanated from her, causing the temperature around her to plummet. Even the ground beneath her feet began to freeze. Rias and the others were amazed, they hadn't expected such a drastic change just from drinking the demon's extract. It was a little overwhelming. You're like a whole new person, I said, walking up to Akino and touching her now ice blue hair, marveling at the cold energy within it. Does Kyoya like this look? Should I keep it like this from now on? Akino asked, clearly pleased. You don't have to. I like you either way. But this look is quite nice, too. I replied. Alright, stop flirting. Akino, show us what you can do with your new ice powers. Rias interjected, a hint of jealousy in her voice. Okay. Kyoya, just look at Rias's jealous face. Isn't it cute? Akino teased, looking at Rias. Akino. Enough. Rias's face flushed, completely flustered. Seeing Rias flustered, Akino giggled, then demonstrated her newly acquired power. She flew into the air and pointed a hand upwards. A mountain-sized chunk of ice formed in the sky, then she began to freeze the surrounding area. Within moments, everything within a 100-meter radius was encased in ice. There was once someone who could freeze time itself during a battle with similar powers, then deliver a finishing blow to their opponent. So, Akino, you have a lot of room to grow. After seeing Akino's display, I offered some praise and then some advice for future development. Returning to the ground and reverting her hair to its original black, Akino was surprised to hear that someone had once used ice powers to freeze time. She then turned to me, a little confused, and asked, Kyoya, why do you know so much about these things? It's like you know everything, do you have some secret you're not telling us? Her question reminded Rias and the others of my many strange actions and seemingly omniscient knowledge. Well, you can think of it as me being able to foresee the future, kind of. As for my secret, you'll all find out soon enough. So, please, be patient. I said. Seeing that I was reluctant to elaborate, they didn't press the issue. They knew they would find out eventually. But this only made them even more curious about my secret. Chapter 50, Sword of Promised Victory. Excalibur appears, everyone's power greatly increases. Now, let's see what our grand prize is, I said to the group. Everyone was excited. After all, the previous 2 rewards had come from relatively weak demons and yokai. The reward from the extraordinary Yamata no Orochi was sure to be amazing. With that thought, everyone looked at the card in my hand, eager to see what it contained. I crushed the card. A blinding, golden light erupted, shooting up into the sky like a pillar of pure energy. Shock. Ah! What's happening? Wait, that sword, could it be? How is that possible? That sword disappeared long ago. It shouldn't be here. Rias, who had been relatively calm, suddenly widened her eyes, recognizing the identity of the sword. But that only served to increase her shock. Looking at the holy aura emanating from the weapon, I was dumbfounded. Because that holy sword, radiating divine light, was none other than Excalibur, the sword of promised victory. This particular Excalibur was a divine construct created by the planet itself, not by humans. Unlike the famous alchemically created Excalibur of a certain king, this sword was crystallized from the faith of humanity, forged within the planet as a weapon to protect the earth. It was an ultimate weapon, an anti-planet noble phantasm. Was my luck finally turning around? Ah, I knew it, today is my lucky day. I was ecstatic. Amazing. The others, witnessing this scene, were completely stunned. Then, Rias quickly turned to Kiba and started to explain, "Kiba, this holy sword is different from the ones created by humans." But before Rias could finish, Kiba interrupted her, his expression complex. "Bucho, I know what you want to say. Don't worry. I understand the significance of this sword. Don't worry about me. I'm just a little shocked to see this legendary blade." After all, who wouldn't be shocked? The legendary sword of the planet, appearing before them in such a manner, was unbelievable. Under their bewildered gazes, a golden light appeared in my hand, and the sword of promised victory slowly descended from the sky until I grasped it. The moment I held the sword of promised victory, I felt my blood surge, as if an infinite power was coursing through my veins. At the same time, Rias and the others approached me, their shock evident. "Kyoya, this is..." I glanced at them and joked, "Now that I'm the master of the sword of the planet, does that mean I'm the reincarnation of King Arthur in my past life?" Hearing my words, the girls actually started to think about it seriously. Seeing their reactions, I quickly said, "Hey, I was just kidding, don't take it seriously." But they seemed to have genuinely considered it a possibility. I was speechless. I decided not to explain any further and let them believe what they wanted. But in the end, after discussing it with the others, I made a decision that would ensure our victory. Then, in the next second, we were suddenly back in the hyperbolic time chamber. Back in the chamber, everyone felt the oppressive atmosphere once again. Kyome, who had been training, looked at us curiously. "How was it? Was the dungeon party fun? Did you get any rewards?" So, we recounted our experiences in the other dimension to her in detail. Hearing about our thrilling adventure and the horrifying power of Yamata no Orochi, Kyome was filled with envy and regret. Seeing Kyome's dejected expression, I grasped her hand and gently kissed her cheek. "What's wrong, Kyome? Are you upset that I didn't take you? Don't worry, there will be other opportunities in the future. I'll take you with me next time, okay?" My sudden intimate gesture made Kyome blush, and she stammered, not knowing what to say. Rias and the others just watched them with strange expressions, but they didn't say anything. "All right, everyone, let's continue training. We need to make the most of this time before the raiding game," I encouraged the group. Hearing my words, Rias and the others were re-energized. After all, in just one day, their power had increased dramatically. And so, the group resumed their hellish training. 2 days passed in the outside world, and the training inside the hyperbolic time chamber was finally complete. Rias had now fully mastered the use of her power of destruction, and her power level had stabilized at the pinnacle of the high-class level thanks to the enhancement. Kaniko's martial arts and Kyome's magical beasts had also improved significantly. Akino and Kiba had both reached the mid-level of high class. Kiba had suffered the most during these 2 years. Being the only guy, I had been particularly hard on him during training. I had even summoned lightning from the sky to encourage him to train harder. For 2 years, he had trained almost every day until he was bruised and battered, lying on the ground, unable to move. It was a sight that made everyone feel sorry for him. Kyoya, I feel like I could easily defeat Riser now with my current power. Rias said, feeling the unprecedented power within her. It seems Rias is full of confidence, but I won't fall behind either. Akino said excitedly. Alright. Even though only 2 days have passed in the outside world, you've all been training for nearly 2 years. You must be under a lot of pressure. So, let's relax for the remaining 5 days. I suggested. Hearing my suggestion, everyone cheered up. They had been training non-stop, and they were eager to relax. That wraps up this part of What If Overpowered Ichigo Left Karakura Town. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Just a quick reminder. What If Luffy Became a Marine will also be going on hold soon, as we're nearly caught up there too. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if Ichigo awoke his true powers? What if becoming a mangaka in the One Piece world? What if reborn as Gohan in the future timeline? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the second pick and start working on that as its replacement series. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.